You mentioned Monty Williams. I know you guys have a good relationship. Are you at all surprised by the success that he's had? I've heard. I mean, I've outside of playing against him and engaging with him here and there, I don't really know him. But the only things I've heard about him are nothing but like the best and most positive.
Yeah, I mean, if you know a little bit about my history, we kind of share a lot of dark times together. His wife was there for me during a really difficult time in my life. I stayed at his house that night. They welcomed me in, and his wife, she was just the most amazing person. And then, a little bit, a few years later, I don't remember the exact date, but his wife passed away in a car accident. And it was crazy because the next day we played Oklahoma City where he was coaching, the Pelicans did. And so right the day after it happened, a few of us went over to his house and I kind of shared in that morning with him. And it was just, we have a pretty deep rooted connection and have been through a lot together, like I said, but he's the greatest possible coach for a group like the Phoenix Suns because I said this to him. We actually met right after he got the job in Vegas for Summer League. I met in his room with him and because he wanted to ask me a few questions about the group and how do I interact with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton and all these guys. And he's such a natural in that position of leadership and that team needed leadership. I mean, I was there for 5 months or so. Spent time with them when they were all brand new with the exception of Book, but like the guys needed guidance and leadership. And Monty is such almost like a fatherly figure in a way where you want to do the right thing and you want him, he wants to get the best out of you and that and you respect him. So I'm not surprised at all with the success they've had. And I mean, it's happened pretty quick, like 100%. Within a year, but you kind of saw it at the tail end of during the pandemic, when they were undefeated in that little stretch, you could see that they had some good going.
You talk about dealing with adversity and tragedy. I think that as professional athletes, there is an expectation around obviously performing, but then also that there's a lack of understanding of the fact that we have like other lives. How have you been able to overcome instances and just adversity in general? You don't have to unpack anything specifically, but more so adversity in general and the challenges that come with everything basketball related off the court and not let it bleed onto the court. Or honestly, like it's unrealistic to say that it never does, right? I would imagine. Yeah.
I mean, for me, basketball was my escape and basketball was kind of my safe haven. And for that 2 hours of practice, I got a chance to get away from my outside life, especially during the suicide of my ex-girlfriend, being in New Orleans, being in the city where that happened, coming back. Monty was actually the guy that got me back to playing basketball again because I thought there's no way I can be around people and go back to that city and have these memories but he told me like basketball is all you really know, man. This is your healing. And he was right. And we fought back and forth for a little while about that. But, it's interesting because through my experience and over time, basketball was my safe haven. And then it kind of became sort of this situation where everything in basketball sort of just happened organically and it was great. And doors were opened and I got playing time and I got contracts and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden my value sort of really changed. And so that was really hard for me. Yeah. It was really hard for me to deal with that. And I don't think people understand how hard your whole life you're playing X amount of minutes a game and things are just happening, and then all of a sudden you're not playing anymore, and people don't talk to you. It's interesting, You're kind of shunned. Changes. If you're not one of the guys, you're kind of shunned. So, basketball sort of became like it wasn't my safe haven anymore. It was like everything on the outside was going great. And then, so, you know, that was a challenge. It's a challenge. It's definitely a tough thing for players to, you know, find peace and have their head on straight, and so everybody deals with it differently. But I guess that's how you have longevity in a league like the NBA, because it's cutthroat and it's tough.